PMAX campaigns are without a doubt Google's most powerful campaign type with the most sophisticated algorithm and the biggest potential for growing your business in many, many cases. But they are also the easiest campaign to get wrong. And when you don't set them up correctly, you can cost yourself a lot of money and lose a lot of potential revenue by having the wrong settings and the wrong setup in your PMAX campaign. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you a completely live walkthrough of exactly how to set up a regular PMAX campaign and also a feed-only PMAX campaign, which is often even more efficient and even more profitable than a regular PMAX campaign. So without further ado, let's get right into it. First of all, the very first step of creating any campaign in Google Ads is going into the Campaigns tab and then going into the Campaigns tab and then the Campaigns tab once again, 3 times, and then you hit the blue plus button here. You want to go for a new campaign. Now, side note before we get started on this PMAX build, it's very, very important that you only introduce a PMAX campaign into your account once you have already got some conversion data in the account. If you start a PMAX campaign from a completely fresh account, Google is really going to struggle to produce results for you because it just doesn't have the data necessary to power that extremely sophisticated PMAX algorithm that exists within the Google Ads platform. You need to make sure that you get some conversion data rolling through the account so Google knows what a purchase looks like and Google can start targeting the right people with your PMAX campaign, the right search terms, the right placements to get those conversions that you're looking for. But once you do have that conversion data in the account, so somewhere between at least 10 and 15 conversions at the bare minimum before you start PMAX, you want to get into this tab here where you have your campaign objective. Now, we always want to drive sales for the campaign. We never want to drive anything else, and you want to make sure that your conversion goal here is set to purchases. We don't want any other goals in this campaign. If you have add to cart, if you have begin checkout, what it's going to do once again is it's going to guide the Google algorithm in the wrong direction. If you start guiding the Google algorithm towards add to carts or begin checkouts, what you'll find is you get much lower quality customers, you get much lower conversion rates because Google targets lower intent signals. Whereas the purchase signal is the highest intent signal that you can possibly target on Google. And that's why we want to go after it in every single campaign that we run if you're an e-commerce brand. If you're a lead generation brand, this main goal here would be submit lead form or potentially a phone call. But we're going to build this one out as if we are running an e-commerce brand here. So once you hit continue there, you'll see the option to create a performance max campaign. Now, what you want to do is if you have a GMC, which you definitely should if you're an e-commerce brand, you want to, again, make sure that you fully set up your Google Merchant Center, all your products have been optimized at least to some extent, your titles make sense, you have a clear categorization amongst your products, so you can very clearly select the products you need. But for now, let's just go, yes, advertise products from Merchant Center account, and then you want to select your Merchant Center account from the drop down here. It should be linked to your Google Ads account if you've set it up with the same email address and the same account. Give it a name. So for this PMAX campaign, we're going to call it, we're going to imagine that we're just targeting the USA here. So we're going to go PMAX. And in this case, in PMAX, we're actually going to include branded traffic within the PMAX campaign. Now, I'll get into that in a bit more detail later, but for now, we're just going to call it PMAX, brand included. Another important factor of this campaign is that you're only going to want to include your top 3 to 5 products if this is the first PMAX campaign you're starting. So we're going to go brand included, top products, USA. You can also include the bidding strategy if you want in the title, but I don't always do that. It's not always necessary. So we have a clear name nomenclature here, a clear naming strategy that shows you exactly what is in the campaign. You don't have to be guessing when you're searching through your ads account. Very important to name campaigns the right way because otherwise things can get really, really confusing once you start building out your account, your structure, and getting more campaigns in the account. So let's continue on. I'll select the account here. Let's continue on. And now we'll be on the bidding screen. So if you have a brand new PMAX campaign and you want it to scale up as quickly as possible, you probably just want to select maximize conversion value in an e-commerce account. If you're running a lead gen campaign, then you want to go maximize conversions. I honestly wouldn't start with a target ROAS in most cases. If you already are getting a consistent return, a consistent kind of ROAS in your account, you can set a target ROAS here. Let's say you're getting a 200%. You want to set it a little bit below that and maybe 180 just to give you a little bit more wiggle room. But in most cases, you don't really need a T-ROAS from the start in the campaign. Just start with maximize conversion value. Now, this is another interesting setting. This one can be very helpful if you want to really focus on new customer acquisition. Again, if this is your first PMAX campaign, I probably wouldn't bother with this one yet. The main goal here is to start getting as much data and as many conversions through the account through PMAX as you can to start building a really solid base. Now, this is really good in later stages of the account once you have sort of saturated your bottom of funnel and you're finding that PMAX is leaning too heavily towards retargeting an existing customers. You can tick this to make sure that you steer it more towards new customers and finding new buyers and customers for your brand. Now, you can do it in a couple of ways. You can either bid higher for new customers. Now, in order to do this, you basically just set up you tell Google how much more you want it to value a new customer. So in this account, for example, a regular customer is worth $170, and we tell Google to add on a certain amount of value that a new customer represents to us. So if a new customer is worth an additional, $100 in LTV to you, this is totally dependent on your brand, but it's how much do you value that additional customer at. You can enter that in here, and you can give it a very clear representation of how much you want it to target your newer customers rather. And then you can also make some adjustments for high value new customers, so people who are more likely to purchase higher value products. And then also lapsed customers, so people who have previously left and also lapsed high value. So there are a lot of options for targeting here, but in the vast majority of cases, I would just recommend leaving this off at the start and worrying about that later. One more thing to note as well, you can just tell Google to only bid for new customers, but as you can see here, you need to make sure that you do have an audience segment with at least 1,000 active members, so you can tell Google what your existing customers look like so it can target new ones. But anyway, we're just going to untick that for now, as I recommend if you're creating a new campaign, and just continue on. Now, in this case, we are targeting the United States, like I said. Unfortunately, I need to do a quick verification here. So, not anymore. So you select United States, and in this case, it's just preset to English. That's right, we only want to target English speaking users here. And then EU political ads, always say no unless you are running EU political ads, but that's a pretty niche scenario. I don't think I've come across any accounts yet that actually have to tick yes in this box. And then you can go down to more settings, and there are some more settings down here that you can modify if you wish. If you have very specific targeting preferences, if you want to go only on specific devices, you can do that. That's really the only one you might need now. Also potentially brand exclusions if you want to make this a non-branded PMAX campaign. Now, again, in the early stages of an account, I recommend including branded traffic because it lets you gather more data and get more momentum. But if you really don't want to target branded customers and you have your branded campaigns set up already, and they're gathering traffic and they're bringing in consistent branded traffic, then exclude it in here, and you can set up a brand exclusion to keep your brand out of PMAX to make sure it doesn't target your brand name. You can also do demographic exclusions here. Again, you can exclude specific ages or specific genders. If you have like a female-only product, you may want to exclude males or vice versa. Same with ages. So you do have a few more options down here. In most cases, honestly, you can just go pretty much broad, and PMAX will usually do the work if you have conversion data in your account. Next up, asset generation. Now, I do not recommend using the asset generation here AI. The AI typically does a pretty poor job, so I just kind of skip past that and we go skip. And then you can go into the asset group here and actually do your creation of the asset group. Sorry for these messages that keep popping up. I just don't want to pause the video and confirm my identity unless I have to. So for the asset group, like I said earlier on in the video, we are starting with the top products in our account. So we're just going to call this asset group top products, and we're going to call it full build because this asset group is going to have a full build campaign. It's not just feed only. It's going to have all of our headlines, descriptions, etc. So we're going to go top products, full build. Very clear what we're targeting the asset group. Once again, you want your naming to be consistent across campaigns. And then you can go into listing groups here. Now, under your listing groups, you can choose to just use a selection of products. Now, if you use a selection of products, this is what I would recommend. You want to go into your item ID and basically in here, just select your top 3 to 5 products that you think are most likely to sell, hit them in and then select save. And that's how you get those top products only advertising this campaign and no other products once you split it out like that. And then also one other step after you just split it out, when you get into the actual campaign, you do have to go under your product groupings and exclude everything else to make sure that your basically campaign isn't advertising all products and it's just advertising the ones you selected. What it'll do is it'll break out those additional products by individuals in your product group, and then you just have to, there's another category called everything else. Just change that to exclude, and then it will only show you individual products that are listed. All right, brand guidelines. So business name and logos, fairly self-explanatory. Put in your business name here, put in your logos here. You do have to make sure that you have completed advertiser verification in order to upload your business name and logos and have them show. So put those ones in. You can put in colors here. I don't find that it makes much of a difference though. All right, so assets. Final URL. Now you want your final URL to just be your homepage. So whatever your homepage URL is, because with your product listings in the PMAX campaign, all of your shopping listings will lead directly to your product pages that are associated with a product in your Google Merchant Center listing. So you don't have to worry about setting individual product pages here. This is just for search ads, display ads, YouTube ads, wherever your ads are showing outside of shopping listings. This is where the users will be taken after clicking on your ad. Next up, headlines. Now, I have a whole video dedicated to writing effective ad copy. If you want, you can check that one out on my channel. It's just called How to Write Ad Copy for Google Ads or something very similar to that. And if you go through, I walk you through the A to Z of setting up a good headline, a good long headline, a good description, everything you need to effectively capitalize on your ad copy. But in a nutshell, the three biggest things you want to focus on are, first of all, your users' biggest pain points. So the problems you are solving for your users and what solution you are delivering to them. You want your copy to be emotional and evocative. So it makes people really want to click. It makes it very clear that you have the solution to their problem. You also want to point out any USPs, so any unique selling propositions you have, any unique advantages you have over competitors, things that make people would want to click you more than a competitor. So basically, what is great about your brand, what makes you better, what makes it more likely for a user to purchase from you. And then additional to that, you also want to have trust factors. So stuff like social proof, stuff like number of reviews, number of happy customers, all that kind of stuff in your headlines too, to make sure that it is a trusted, reputable, and genuine brand that people are buying from. Once you fill out all of your ad copy and go through and add some images as well, some videos if you have them, feel free to build out as much as you can in here. Again, it's just going to help you gather more data and get more information on what kind of placements you should target, what kind of placements perform best for you, and what your biggest levers will be in starting future PMAX campaigns and optimizing this one. Add in your site links. Once again, this is included in the ad copy video. And then go down. I usually recommend adding the callouts as well, structured snippets if you can. Typically prices or promotions, if you have any specific promotions. Prices typically don't do a lot in my mind, but you can add them if you like. If you're a lead generation business, you can add a call extension too. I do recommend that. And then you can add some tracking parameters if you require. Now, once you have done all that, you have the option down here for asset optimization. Now, these ones I typically don't like to do. Basically, it just gives, once again, Google a little bit too much control, and it can sometimes change things to kind of modify your messaging. Text customization I don't really like because it creates ad copy for you, and typically it's not great quality ad copy. Final URL expansion can basically just guide people to random pages on your website. It can end up sending them to pages that aren't ideal. So I don't always recommend that either. And then additional to that, we have the image enhancement here, which you can do this if you like, but you want to make sure that you are comfortable with your image being kind of resized, reformatted, and changed. If it's an image that really requires to be kept in a specific format, then don't tick this because otherwise it could be modified. Landing page images basically will pull images from your landing page to use. I don't recommend turning that on because once again, you are not in full control of what Google is showing, and I don't really like doing that. And then what else have we got? Video enhancement. So this can just, again, modify your videos to fit better in certain placements. Once again, if all of your information is centralized and these videos are designed to be usable on multiple formats, then you can go ahead and do that one. And then let me just double check. All looks good. Okay. And I'll turn that off for now, but you can keep that on if you wish. And then signals. So again, this can be helpful. What you can do in here is you can basically tell Google, you can give it a little bit more direction on where it should be targeting. Now, if you already have conversion data in the account, you could get decent performance without any signals at all. But I generally recommend adding some signals that are relevant to your brand. So if you, for example, are selling jewelry, you may want to add in signals for earrings, rings, necklaces, etc., etc. Things that are just relevant to your brand. Don't overthink it. Just add relevant themes. At the end of the day, PMAX is going to go well beyond these themes anyway. It can just help you steer it in the right direction and give it some guidance to start with, which is helpful. You can also give it data on potentially existing customers if you want to be targeting existing customers. Do note that if you give it more data on existing customers, it's probably going to lean more heavily into remarketing and existing customers. So I don't always recommend doing this if you have the intention of acquiring new customers with the campaign. All right, and that is our asset group creation. Next up, budget, very self-explanatory. Put in how much budget you'd like to use. Honestly, these estimations are rarely accurate. I wouldn't rely on them at all. I pretty much block them out whenever I'm building a campaign because they don't really mean much. They're not very reliable. So just ignore that. Set the budget that you think is responsible and reasonable in your account. If you're starting a new PMAX campaign, generally around that $50 a day range is actually a good place to put it. You can go down about maybe 25. I wouldn't recommend really going under 25 with PMAX. It's just not enough budget to really get any traction. And you can scale these up to 500 per day plus, 1K per day plus in some cases, but generally starting out around 50 to 100 is a good range to start with in a PMAX campaign. All right, and that is it. Once you get here, I won't be able to publish this campaign because I'm missing a lot of things, and also I haven't verified my identity, as you can see. But this is pretty much how you do it. You'll now be on this page. You'll have a little button up here to hit publish, and once you do that, you're good to go, and you can publish your PMAX campaign, and it will start running and hopefully start gathering you some conversions. However, I want to show you this little secret hack that lets you create a even more targeted PMAX campaign. Now, this is called a PMAX feed-only campaign. What this means is it will only show your ads in shopping listings. So it only shows your product feed in shopping listings across the shopping network, both on search and also display and sometimes on YouTube, but basically is only shopping listings. Now, the reason that this can be more effective is because it sometimes doesn't waste money on less valuable placements. Often search placements and display placements and general PMAX ad placements can be lower quality and lower conversion rates than a shopping listing, because shopping listings are very, very high converting listings in a lot of cases for e-commerce brands. So I recommend going with the feed-only campaign if you're seeing that your regular PMAX campaign seems to be targeting low quality traffic. A few signs that might be really cheap CPCs, really, really low conversion rates, low CTR, things like that. If you're seeing these kind of signs, then you would want to consider testing out a feed-only campaign because it can give you higher quality traffic, as I mentioned. So in order to create this one, you want to go sales, continue, PMAX, like we did before, and then you want to go advertise from Merchant Center account, select your Merchant Center account, name it, PMAX, feed only, and then we'll just put in USA. And then continue. Remember to label them as feed only, otherwise you'll probably forget. I've forgotten in a few cases before. Everything here is the same, but when you get to the asset generation, the one difference you want is, again, remove that AI aspect. We don't want that. And what you want to do is go, we're just going to label this one feed only. All right, I'm back now that I've verified my identity there. So we're going to be calling this one feed only, top 3 to 5 products. Once again, you just want to be running your top products in these campaigns because it gives you the best opportunity at getting conversions, shows only your best products to customers before you start expanding into the rest of your catalog. Now, what you want to do is select your products once again through here. You want to subdivide and select your top products. And then in here, don't fill anything out. Close your brand guidelines, remove your final URL, and make sure all of this is empty. And if this is all empty, you will see a preview here of your shopping ad and just a shopping ad. You won't see anything else except for shopping ads in here and product placements essentially, or shopping listings rather. So once you've done all that, you basically just minimize this up and then you go through the exact same process once again, and then you hit publish at the end, and then you have a feed-only campaign, which is only going to show shopping listings without all of the headlines, descriptions of search ads, display ads, everything like that, and it can really help boost your conversion rate if you're having troubles with low-quality traffic. So that is all for me today. I hope you found this one very helpful. I hope you are now running a PMAX campaign that hopefully generates you a lot of additional sales. If you have any issues or any concerns, please feel free to drop them in a comment below. I do read all the comments. I'd be happy to help you out and show you if you have any trouble setting this up, clarify some things, extend on them in a different video. Please be my guest. And if you want me to help you build out campaigns like this that you know will convert, because ultimately there are a lot more parts of the strategy that go into running a successful PMAX campaign. It's not just this simple guide here. If you want to really leverage the full power of PMAX, please feel free to book a call with me down below. I'll show you how to build some good campaigns, or I'll build them out for you, and I'll help you make a lot more money with Google Ads. That's all for me today. I hope you guys enjoy this one, and I'll see you in the next one.